So last week I did a thing. I'm not super proud of it, but I think you're gonna appreciate it. Yeah, so I went out and bought a lot of pens. And even the shopkeeper was like super confused, and he said that, why don't you just buy the refills? Why do you keep buying so many pens? But I had an agenda and I wanted to carry out one experiment, which is to find out the best 10 rupees pen that you can find in any of your like local stationery stores. And I did not want to go for something super high end because I know that's not something that a lot of people would like to have. And pens are just like such daily items and you don't even think about it a lot of times, but I just want to show you that you can actually differentiate between quality at the same price point and which brand has like the better experience, because I write a lot, so this kind of is super important to me and I'm really hoping it's very important to a lot of you watching out there. So I'm going to go by brands and I will put the timestamps down below so you can check out if you have a favorite. And I will judge it on the basis of like just how it feels in my hand, how it writes, if there is any ghosting, any bleeding, if it smudges, because most of them are ballpoint pens. There are some gel as well. Hey, that rhymed. Anyway, so for those of you who haven't seen my video from last week, Classmate came out with this really cute new journal. And this is the paper that I'm going to test all of these pens out on, and mainly because this is the average GSM of like any notebook that you would find in the market. So I've divided it by brands. We have Rorito, we have one from Reynolds, we have Flair, Cello, Linc, and Classmate, and we also have one pen which is very unique. I've actually never heard of this company, which is called Hauser. So why don't we just start with that? So this pen looks nice. I mean, it actually looks like it's far more expensive than 10 rupees. It is a retractable pen, and there is a grip area, but usually it's covered in rubber. But I can't imagine like this would probably not be very comfortable to write with. Let's try it. So I'm just going to write the names of these, like the pen itself, so that we can compare later. Okay. It took a while, but then it became smooth. Like initially it was kind of jittery. It wasn't great. So let me just... Feels there's a little resistance when I write with it. But let's check. Okay, there is also... I usually write with a little more pressure than normal people. But there is like significant ghosting. So you would... not like the color does not run, there's no bleeding, but you can read what is written on the other side of it. So that's there. Let's see if it smudges. It smudges a little bit, like not a lot, so that's a good thing. It smudges a little bit. Okay, let's move on. Next, I want to try Cello. Cello used to be one of my favorite brands when I was in school, and I clearly remember this, specifically this particular pen, which is the Cello Techno Tip, and this actually the other one, which is Cello Pinpoint. These used to be my go-to exam pens, and I had a very it was a very silly assumption that I kind of always thought that I'm going to cry in that exam, in any exam. Even though I was super paranoid and always over-prepared, I always thought that I'm going to cry. So I need ball pens, and I need pens which do not run, and they never disappointed me. Not that I cried and tested it out, but I thought that was a funny story. Like 10-year-old Ahana was not very aware of the world at the time. Okay, so this has that rubber tip on it. Okay, let's see. See, never disappoints. It runs really smoothly, like I remember Cello being, and this was what I was talking about. So it has that rubber grip on it, and it's very comfortable when you write with it. It does not hurt my fingers at all, and it like I know for a fact that you can write with it for hours and it would not be uncomfortable. So also the ghosting is significantly less. There's obviously no bleeding. Ball pens usually don't bleed, but the ghosting is also pretty less because it's a very fine tip pen, and even if I apply a lot of pressure, it would not like reflect that much on the other side, as opposed to like a broader tip pen. I think it would last you a while. So there's like a lot of ink in it, so that's good. Next is the Cello pinpoint. I can't imagine it being very different, but it's a little fatter than Technotip, so it's easier to hold and it's a little more comfortable to hold. Okay, smooth rubber. But here, yeah, this is how I remember it. Here is the problem, because you can clearly see how smooth the Technotip ink flows, and this pinpoint ink is not coming out properly yet. I mean, I know after maybe a little bit more writing it will, but it did not come out as smoothly in the first go. And yeah, obviously then that means that the ghosting is also the least so far that we've tried. There is barely, like, you have to be very, very attentive to realize that something has been written on the earlier page. Also, I forgot to do the smudge test, so let's see. Technotip or pinpoint, neither of them smudge at all, so that's safe to use. That's good. Next we have Butterflow from Cello again, so let's see how that goes. Oh, actually, wow, it really does live up to its name. It's very, very smooth, the writing. It actually flows very nicely, and it feels a little uncomfortable actually, because I think the grip should have been a little thicker, since the body of the pen then becomes thicker. So like if you're resting your hand on it, you would need a thicker grip to write for a longer amount of time. But the ink quality is really good, and there's barely any ghosting, so that's also a plus. That's great. Next we have Cello Butter Gel, which is also one of the very, very few gel pens that I have in this list. So I'm going to try that. Also one of the very few black pens that I have in this list. Quite a unique one, this. Let's see. Okay. This actually had like a little bit of a disrupted flow. It wasn't as smooth as the earlier ballpoint pens, and it feels good in the hand, but again, it's the same issue. I think the butter gel range is the same problem, that the body kind of becomes fatter at the end and the grip is very narrow. So to write for a long amount of time, you would need like a thicker rubber grip to make it more comfortable. It doesn't bleed. That's nice. Usually gel pens have a tendency to bleed sometimes, but it doesn't bleed. And it's also, there is some amount of ghosting, but that's you can ignore it, and it doesn't smudge, so that's a big plus for a gel pen, to not smudge. And it's not like I waited too long for it to dry, so that's good. Next we're going to move on to Flair. I don't know how many of you know this actually, but in Flair pens there was this one pen that used to come, and I think it was called the Writometer, and there was actually some sort of a ruler attached to the refill, and somehow it was something like 1 page, 2 page, something like that. And I was obsessed with it. Like, I kind of thought it was like I was racing against this refill, and I have to, I have to be the first person to finish this, and I have to complete it. And I would get very upset every time there was still like a significant amount of ink left in the refill. I don't know why. Like, when I had just started writing with pens, I think in my school it was in 5th standard, I was obsessed. I was buying everything. I was pretty much like this then also. So yeah, I mean, my mom did not indulge me all that much, but now that I get more of a say, I do all of these things. Does anyone remember the Flair Writometer? Like, if you do, please leave a comment down below. I would love to know if anyone else is as crazy as me about these things. Okay, so the first Flair pen we have is called the Clickers ballpoint pen. It's also a retractable pen, so that's, I always thought that retractable pens were super convenient because you are not like always losing the cap and hunting for it, so that's good. And as an adult, I actually prefer retractable pens. I will show you my favorite ones later, but let's move on with this. Let's see what it feels like. So this is really nice actually. It's called Clickers, and it does say it's the smoothest pen. That's what it says in the label here, and it honestly feels really smooth. It did not get stuck at all. There is a little bit of ghosting but no bleeding, and it feels pretty smooth. And let me try smudging it. It smudges a little, like it does. It smudges more than the other pens has smudged so far. So yeah, that's one thing. yeah, that's one thing you might want to consider. But yeah, it writes really smoothly, but it does smudge a little. Next we have, this is called the Flair Big Writer Ball Pen, and it's also called the double writing pen. Okay, first of all, it's purple, so I already love it, and they have the rubber grip. But for some reason, I feel like the Cello butter flow and this pen looks very similar. Don't you think so? Let me know if you think so. Moving on, let's see. Flair, this is called Big Writer. No. Okay, so it is not as smooth as the earlier one. It kind of got a little stuck in the beginning. Let's see. Oh, it smudges a lot. It smudges a lot. Okay. Very faint ghosting and no bleeding. So it does smudge though. It does smudge. But I don't understand, like the ink did not flow out that that quickly and that easily, so it should not be smudging, but anyway, it did. So yeah, going on to the last one from Flair. It is called YOLO. Wow, appealing to the millennial generation. Okay, this is very nice. This is super smooth, and even though actually I'm surprised that even though it does not have that traditional rubber grip and it's very plasticky, it's not uncomfortable to hold. I don't know how it will be for a long period of time though, but I think there is this ridge in the beginning of the nib, and that kind of allows your fingers to rest on it. It's a weird design. I've not seen this kind of a design before, and it also has these marks, like blank spaces, sort of, just like open, showing you what the refill, like what the color is like. It's uncommon, but I like it. Okay, let's test this. Very minimum smudging, and also yeah, same, barely any ghosting, so that's good. Nice, good job, Flair. As I'm going through all of these pens and these brands, I'm kind of remembering a lot of stories of my childhood and the first time I started like writing with pens, and that was a big deal for me. That was like it was like, oh my god, it's like the first step to growing up. And I remember so many of these stories related to these pens, and until I actually sat down to make this video, I did not think that this is the direction that this video will go in. But yeah, I think I have a story related to every single kind of brand that I'm going to show today. So right now we are talking about Reynolds, and Reynolds, I don't know if you remember, they became Rorito recently, and I don't know, I'm still finding Reynolds pens, but also most of the Reynolds designs that I identify, like there was a first kind of pen that came out with waterproof ink, and you best believe that that was the only gel pen that I would take to exams, because I was like, okay, it's waterproof, even if I cry, nothing will happen. So I was convinced that I will cry in an exam, and I haven't till date. I've completed 2 degrees and I have never cried in an exam. Maybe after it, but never during. And I was so convinced that even until my post-graduation, I never took a gel pen to an exam. So yeah, I'm weird like that. But Reynolds had these pens. It was called Trimax, yeah, and I still have it, I think. And Trimax used to be such a luxury. Like I remember at the time I hadn't heard of Uniball, and Trimax was like that. It was this 45 rupees pen, I think, and it was amazing. It wrote so well, and literally I remember one of my friends in college would never lend it out to anyone. Like if that was the last pen that she had in her box, she would never give it to anybody who asked. She was very territorial about it, and we all were. We thought that Trimax was like this, oh my god, insane luxurious item that you can purchase as a student, and yeah, we guarded it with our lives. So I don't know, did you guys do that with your Trimax or your Uniballs, or I don't know if you had a Parker pen or a Pilot pen or something like that? Did you do that? Let me know. So now talking about waterproof ink, right? So now Rorito has come up with something called the Flymax Gel, which has waterproof ink. Also, one of the very few gel pens, also black. Let's see. This gives me such a throwback kind of a moment, because Reynolds has always been this quality. Like sometimes it flows, sometimes it doesn't. It's always been very moody, and hit it twice and then it would run. It's like, it smudges a little. Yeah, it smudges like quite a bit actually. You probably don't want to do that as soon as you finish writing, but yeah, that's a very gel pen thing to do. There's no bleeding, and the ghosting is also very, very little, actually less than a lot of the ballpoint pens that we've tried today, so that's great. And this is exactly what that pen looked like. This is exactly the design of the Reynolds waterproof gel. So yeah, brings back a lot of memories. Next we go on to this thing called Zapper, the quick writer. Okay. Again, retractable pens, so convenient. I really fell in love with retractable pens more as an adult. Like in school, I enjoyed the other ones more, and mostly because I found this very annoying. A lot of kids used to do it just to annoy people, so I did not like it in school, but now I like it a lot. Wow, this ink flows out so nicely, and it doesn't even smudge. A little bit of ghosting, but the ink flows out so nicely. Like, it was really comfortable writing with it. And even this thing is also pretty intuitive. Like, sometimes, you know, you have these pens which have to be pressed here to put the nib inside. I think those like break very, very quickly, but this is a really nice feeling body, and the grip is also rubber, so I think this is going to be very comfortable to write with for like longer periods of time. So I really like this one. I wasn't expecting to, but I really like it. Next up we have this pen from Rorito, which is called Jotek Ravia. It's a very difficult name. I can't imagine anybody going to a shop and being, please give me a Jotek Ravia. But then most people don't buy pens like that. They just say, give me a black ballpoint or a black gel pen or a blue gel pen or something like that. It's a very weird name. Anyway. Actually, the body looks very good. It looks like it should be way more than 10 rupees. It's great job. Also retractable. Let's see how it goes. I think it's really interesting that all of these things are blue, but every blue looks different. And this one looks like a little, it doesn't look like a very bright blue. It kind of looks like a dimmer shade. Let's see. Smudges a tiny little bit, like completely. You can overlook that. It's a very tiny little bit also, but it flows really smoothly, and I also really like the grip. But Reynolds had always had that going for them. Like, I always thought that Reynolds pens were the easiest to hold for a very long period of time. Reynolds and the Cello pens, they always like were my top two brands to go to in school. They were the most comfortable to write with. Okay, next we have Yo Right. What is up with brands? They're trying to be too cool. So, we just had Flair with YOLO, and now we have Rorito, which is Yo Right. Interesting. I'm gonna have to say, first impressions, this body does not look too nice. It actually reminds me of a very old Cello pen I had once, and I don't, for those of you who know what I'm talking about will understand, obviously. But there's a Cello pen like this. Like, it looks exactly like this. It's like one of those OG pens. It feels a little difficult to hold, even though the grip is rubbery. It's not very thick. So the entire body is plasticky, and it is a little difficult to hold. Like, I imagine, not obviously not for 1 second, but yeah. Okay, let's see. It's called, yeah, no, this, I don't like this. Okay, we faced some issues, but now it's fine. I think it doesn't smudge or anything. It's not as smooth. Like, I don't think it's as comfortable to write with, but the ghosting is really, really less, like barely anything. So that's amazing. Again, so we're done with Reynolds, and now we're going to take, I found this one pen which was from a Supra B&G brand, and I've never heard of it before, but it looked really pretty, and it honestly did not look like it's for 10 rupees, but it was. So I'm going to try this out. Wow, I am surprised. I am actually surprised. It smudges a little bit actually, but this writing is so smooth. It flows out like butter. Actually, it was so smooth to write with. Like this just flow out of my hand. I don't know how else to explain it. And the body looks really premium. It does not feel plasticky or anything. It feels really good in your hands also. And the only thing is that there is no rubber grip on it, so it might get uncomfortable, especially because of these ridges. I don't know. I don't understand why pens have these ridges. If anyone knows, can you let me know? Because this would really, like, it forms an impression in your hand because I hold a pen like this. So when I was in school, I would come back home with all these impressions on my finger of the pen. So that's like I have so many memories around pens. Like, I am surprising myself, but yeah, that is something that I just remembered. But this looks really pretty. I really like this one. Okay, now we're down to the best two. Why I say best is because arguably these are the best pens in the market. Like, I love Rorito and I love Cello, but these have been like the OG pens that you have always used. Okay, so first up, another pen memory. So one of my first pens, like, my teachers had told us that you're going to come to school, and they said you have to get a Linc Ocean Gel. And that was the rage for the longest time. Those were like 5 rupee pens and they were so amazing. I haven't seen them around lately. I don't know if they're still like available, but they were amazing pens. The writing was beautiful. Like, the ink flew out so nicely, and you would love to look at it also because the ink was like so dark and bright. No, I don't mean dark. Like, it was so bright. Like, your page looked so good. I loved writing with the Linc Ocean Gel, and over the years I've graduated to other Linc pens. So this one, I think, comes closest to how I felt about Ocean Gel, because Ocean Gel also looked like this much. So this is a black Linc Pentonic gel pen. I don't know why all of the gel pens I got were black, but anyway. As expected. I mean, butter, smooth as butter. It's beautiful the way it writes. It smudges a little because gel pens tend to smudge a little, but in that respect, I think the Cello butter gel did not smudge at all. So Pentonic did smudge, but there is no bleeding and barely any ghosting. So I love Linc, if you haven't figured it out already. Next is, remember I told you earlier in the video that I have a favorite retractable pen, and obviously it's this one, the Linc Pentonic BRT. It is an amazing pen. First of all, it's the normal retractable, it's a little annoying, no? Yeah. Anyway, the normal retractable pen, and it writes really well. Now, this grip area, it's amazing. I use this. I have another of these, so I'll show you. This is what I use for work every day, and this is what I just went out and bought so that I can show you all of the new ones. This is so comfortable. Like, that's what I was talking about. Like, I don't understand why the other rubbers around the grip area have ridges. I don't know. I don't see how that helps, because this is perfect. This actually helps you rest your hand on it. It actually supports you when you are writing. It doesn't like cause any impressions or any pain or something. It is super comfortable to hold. It's a good size. It's also only 10 rupees, and I think you can carry it to work. Like, if you, I don't know, maybe if you walked into work with an Ocean Gel, you might be judged a little bit, but this one looks pretty professional. Like, I really like this pen. So yeah, this one is my absolute favorite. Then we have, okay, this is a new one. This is called the Linc Cosmo. Let's see. But the body looks really good, actually. It looks like a premium pen. But this was also only 10 bucks. So everything in this video is 10 rupees. But some of the pens actually look really good. Little disappointing. It looks great, but the ink was a little iffy. Like, it didn't come out as smoothly as the other pens did. So maybe it's just because you know, sometimes when you just open the rubber ball on the top, it happens. But yeah, otherwise it's okay. But this smudges a little. This smudges a little, and no bleeding, but a little bit of ghosting. But that's okay. Like most pens are the same. But this is a very good looking pen. I just maybe the ink flow will get better with use. Who knows? And the final one in the Linc section is this one. This is called the Linc Saffron Tech, and this is also a ball pen. Okay, so these two pens are kind of thick. Usually you would know Linc for like very thin pens, but these, I think in later years it's also gotten pretty thick pens, and thick pens are easier to hold and write with, so that's there. This looks very pretty. Let's see how it works. Smudges a little. Yeah, it kind of works similar to the Cosmo. Looks also very similar. And see, if I just take off the caps, they actually kind of look identical. But yeah, they write also very similar, but the Saffron Tech ink flow is a little bit more smoother than the Cosmo, because the Cosmo was getting stuck. So yeah, that's it. Okay, next we have Classmate. Now Classmate notebooks I've always loved. Let's see how the pens do. So this one is called the Classmate Insta Glide, and from the looks of it, it looks like a pretty good, slightly thicker pen, and it has that rubber grip that is super comfortable to. It's actually very comfortable to hold, and since the body is a little thick, I think it's going to be easy to write with. So let's see. It smudges a little bit, and there's no bleeding or ghosting, like a little very faint ghosting on the other side. So that's for Insta Glide. It actually felt really comfortable to write with, so that's a plus. Now let's see the Octane ballpoint pen, and it's blue. I also got a Octane gel, and I'm just going to take it out for comparison right now. And you're going to see that the bodies look exactly the same. Like there is no way you would know that one is a ball or one is a gel just by looking at it. Apart from it's written over here, this is a gel and this is a ball. So let's try the ballpoint first. This was very smooth. The ink flowed out really smoothly. Like, let me see. And it did not smudge at all. And the ghosting is also very faint. This grip part is really nice. I think it would allow for like a very comfortable writing experience. So I like this. And the gel, I imagine, will be pretty much the same. So, you know, the other gel pens actually had some sort of a resistance when you just started writing with it, but this one flew very, very smoothly, so that's great. And there is, again, no ghosting, no bleeding, and this did not smudge at all, which a lot of the other gel pens smudge. So this was my pen collection, and I'll tell you my favorites, right? I think this Classmate Octane gel is really good. The ball one was also great. I love the Linc Pentonic BRT, and I also love the Cello pens, the Cello Pinpoint and the Technotip. But actually, if I have to choose Technotip over Pinpoint, then the Flair clickers and the other two Rorito. All of these pens were really smooth. They were so comfortable to write with, and I think obviously over time and with more experience writing with these pens, I will be able to give like a better review, so to speak. But yeah, if you're going to buy any of these pens, I would recommend these 7, because they were the best of all of the ones that I've bought and tested out for you today. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you are going to buy any of these pens and which ones your favorites are. If you have any stories related to any of these brands, please let me know. So this was the video, guys. I hope you guys liked it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.